Howdy AI annotators. I'm back again with a video on explaining how another tool from Trahms Technologies, dlsegmenter, works. You may have watched a previous video related to dlannotator, which focused on annotations for training data related to object detection neural nets, namely generating bounding boxes around class objects within images. dlsegmenter is a little bit different in that it is doing per pixel annotation or segmentation, which is a lot more than just class and location. It's class, location, and shape. This tool should make it much easier to do per class annotation within an image using what effectively is a paint tool, but also has some smarts built into it to allow you to do things like watershed processing to minimize the effort that the user has to do to actually annotate very specific pixel instances. What you're seeing here is the title screen of the tool, which is available on the Microsoft Store. An evaluation version is also available via trahmstechnologies.com. It should look very similar to the dlannotator interface, with some small exceptions, which I'll go into in a little bit. It is also an 800 by 600 annotation window, regardless of the actual image size. What is read in and what is written out is based on the native image dimensions of the images that you have collected and are annotating. If you have questions about the controls, you can click on this help button and it brings up a very convenient and easy to read documentation of the controls, which are similar to dlannotator but are slightly different based on the segmentation tasks, which we'll talk about. To move forward and backward in your image collections, A to D as usual, and Q and E for forward and backward with prediction. Decrement label and increment label is also W and S to move back and forward between the different labels, as well as the mouse wheel as normal. You also have image zoom capability via the control key, similar to dlannotator. There's some new things here related to brush resizing using the shift key and the mouse wheel. So both of the shift and control are in association with the mouse wheel. Adding markup and erasing markup are also very similar to dlannotator, except that you're painting instead of applying a bounding box. Clearing the mask is using the F key, and clearing the markups. We'll get into the difference between the mask and the markups in a second. These are the two clear keys, F and G, and applying the markups, the current markups to the mask will be V, using the watershed processing, which has some smarts associated with it, and markups manually applying to the mask is using the B key. The setups are using the YAML key, or YAML dialog, which is also available, as with dlannotator, in the tool setup screen, and I'll show that here. It's a standard format, and I will show that format now. So this, with dlsegmenter, the fields are a little bit different than dlannotator. Bring that back up. Okay. So the dlannotator, as you recall, was this format. This is not the right format for what we're talking about here. I'm going to show you the dlsegmenter format. So the dlsegmenter format also is looking for a folder for sample images, but is the ground truth loading and saving locations are for mask files and associated markup files. So these are not single text files as with DL Annotator. These are actual image masks that are associated with the sample images that you have collected or in this folder. This tool does not touch those source images. It just generates new masks for the purposes of deep neural net training. Also, the label file is a little bit different than DL Annotator in that it actually is specifying not only the class names, one per line, but also the preference color from the user in terms of a hex RGB code. You can use sites like rgbcolor.com and other color picker websites to specify, to figure out which colors you like and actually put those into this file. I'll show the file that we are using for the purposes of this demo. So we've identified 13 different classes. Here are the class names, and here are the hex codes of the colors that we're going to be using for those particular classes. This is specified as part of the YAML master setup file, along with the location of the images and the ground truth mask folders. So we'll go ahead and load that now. This is also available via the Trahms Technologies FTP site. So if you want to test it out on the eval version of this tool, you can do so by downloading the zip file that contains all of these files. So notice that it has populated all of the folder locations using the master YAML. It hasn't started yet. It doesn't start until you click load files. When you click load files, you know that it's working when, in fact, it has it has shown you the window of the first image in the folder. Like with DL Annotator, you have a slider that can navigate through all of the files in the folder, and showing you the file name, and it also shows you the native image dimensions for each of these files. Let's go ahead and annotate one of these images. So you notice the crosshairs has something a little bit different from DL Annotator. It has a reticle, and we'll do with the brush resize. So if I hit Shift key and the mouse wheel, I can actually adjust the size of this reticle. This is basically your paintbrush, if you will, for doing an annotation. And you notice also, similar to DL Annotator, the first class in the list that was loaded is specified here. So if I mouse wheel just by itself, I can actually see the class name and also the color that's associated with that class for the purposes of this segmentation annotation. So let's go ahead and let's specify car, which we specified as green. And we'll go ahead and just start doing some annotation. So I'm just going to click, left click with the mouse and start annotating. And I'll just paint this area. I'll just get real loose there. And I'll do another annotation here. I'm going to kind of go over that person. But then I'm going to shrink the reticle, and I'm going to use the zoom functionality using control, and I'll zoom in and I'll paint this person using the zoom functionality. I'll go back to car, maybe increase the reticle a little bit, and maybe I'll do another person. Decrease the reticle. And then we can zoom out using the control key to them, and just you can see what's here. So now we've done some basic annotation. Maybe I'll do a traffic light. So let me zoom in a little bit here. And I'll do traffic light. I couldn't find the traffic light in the last video. It's funny. Okay. So now I've done the annotation of the traffic light, and I'll zoom back out. And I want to show the ability to erase. So if you erase markup, this is basically a dynamic set of markups that's persisted and editable. So if similar to an eraser, if you right click, you can go ahead and erase any markups. It's hard to see, so I want to highlight the fact that you have a mask opacity control here that allows you to increase the opacity of the things that you've been applying relative to the image. So you can see what, where the markups are that you've made. If you get really dim or very transparent, it's very hard to see them. But a very high opacity, you can actually see what's going on, and then you can turn down later. It's just a control that's available to you. So right-clicking, like I said, you can erase any selected markups that you made anywhere along the line. So I'll just do this, take out this stoplight. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to specify a background. But first I'm actually going to show one of the nice things about this tool is you can annotate, spend a lot of time doing a lot of detail annotation, and it would take a long time. But there's a way to do some automated watershed processing to give some hints to the utility and have it do most of the filling of the image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify a background. I'm just going to very quickly sketch a background here, and I'm going to say that's my background, and maybe I'll leave it like that. If I hit F, it's going to do a simple watershed process, which is a standard algorithm to take a crack at annotating. So if I do that, it's basically tried to establish what it thinks are the annotations for the things I just gave. But I can actually overwrite. I can zoom in here, and I can overwrite some of this stuff and apply V again. In fact, I don't like that person annotation, so I'm just going to right click and I'm just going to go ahead and remove it. Let's see here. And in fact, what I need to do is I need to use this other technique, which is the R, which goes into the shows you the markup versus the mask. So I can kind of remove elements of the person. I don't really like the annotation that I did here, so I'm just going to take those annotations for the people out. I'm going to reapply annotations for the car right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, let's see, let me do background again here. And I'll say, go for it, V. And then I can clean this up by, doing some selected adjustment of the automatically applied bounding or segment maps. And it will get progressively better based on the markups. So that's a nice thing about having this markup ability, is that you can very quickly iterate. And so if I hit R, you can see what the actual markup is, and it persists those when you save the masks. It also persists the markups as well. So you can resume your work later. So let's scroll back, zoom back out. And so now what we'd want to do is, similar to DL annotator, I want to carry this annotation forward. So by hitting the E and Q, I can go forward or backward and carry the masks and the markups forward. So if I hit that, go forward a few. Let's go forward a few. So this annotation, you can actually go backward and forward with A and D, and it's preserved them. Oh, went too far. Okay. So like on the last one that I copied over, I can do the same operation. I can toggle R. I've got the same markups for this image that I did for the original image that I just copied over. So it's all available to me. Okay. Let's annotate a different section here. And I'll show you how powerful the watershed tool is. I'll just do a simple, just for the purposes of showing how this works. It can go very, very quickly in large scenes like this. I can do a simple mask like this. Just don't pay attention to the class names here. I'm just going to show you exactly how fast this can be. And hitting V, that's how fast it shows you the borders based on its best guess. So filling in an image very, very quickly is the strength of this watershed processing feature in this tool. Now you can, like I said, you can correct it based on selecting a particular element over on top of the mask. So like this, and then hit V again. Do V here. And you can iterate a little bit. If you wish to save the mask as is without any further watershed processing, like I don't want the watershed to keep going here. All I do is I click B, and it's saved it into the mask, the watershed into the mask. So I can always take a look and see what by clicking R to go back to my markup and edit the markups if I wish, or look at the overall mask. And the mask is the important thing that you ultimately want. That's the end product for the purposes of training your neural net, your semantic segmentation neural net. So when you're ready to save the GT, you click the Save GT file, or a button, and it will basically save it to a location. And I'll show exactly what that looks like here. And I specified in the settings segment masks. So you can see all of these images were saved. It saves JPEG images, and here I'll click on the one that I just worked on here. So this is what is saved in the actual resolution of the original image with the colors that you specified in your labels file. For car, for background, all of it. It is basically available. What is also saved is the corresponding markup text file, which is loaded by the tool when you start up. So this allows you, going away and coming back, you can specify you can actually restart your work after the fact, and it basically has all of the information. As long as your labels, your colors don't change, it will work without a hitch. So it saves your markups, but the masks, the JPEGs, are used as part of your training for your neural net. Okay. Note that the trial version does not have mask prediction across different images. So the full version does, and it also you don't have the ability to do zoom like we're doing here in the demo version. Like with the DL annotator video, I'll show you where you can get more information about these tools. So dlsegmenter 1.0 is available in the Microsoft Store and has some information about the tool. It also has additional information related to the sample setup files that you're seeing in this video, available via the DL Segmenter folder on the FTP TrahmsTechnologies.com website. You can access these for free using the username anonymous at TrahmsTechnologies.com. There's no password, it's an anonymous FTP. And here is the location, not there, but actually one up, in the dlsegmenter folder under the Trahms Technologies FTP site. You can see there is an eval version of the dlsegmenter tool, along with the archive of the sample files that we were just covering in this video. If you have other questions, feel free to email us at support@trahmstechnologies.com. Hopefully this will make your semantic segmentation annotation tasks more efficient and more fun. I look forward to hearing how it goes. So feel free to contact us, and have a good day.